guys, I haven't made a video in a super long time. I think it's been a couple of years, but I have a whole new batch of students that I've been working with here in Seattle that are having a couple challenges that they're facing as they are starting to get into arm balancing. And so I wanted to address just a couple things that I'm seeing sort of collectively across the group that they're struggling with. And two of those major things that I'm seeing as they work on a couple of the kind of beginner arm balances, things like Eka Pada Koundinyasana 1 and 2 and Eka Pada Koundinyasana 1. The two things that I'm sort of seeing struggle with a lot are one is collapsing through the chest, and two is not rocking far forward enough to get lift in the arm balance. And so I'm going to talk about those two things because they kind of go together, and when you're able to get those things, you usually are able to get up into arm balance. So I'm going to talk about what those things look like. So I'm going to use Eka Pada Koundinyasana 2, the flying splits, as an example for this. So collapsing in the chest, what that looks like when you see it happen or when you feel it happen in your body, looks like this. So for Eka Pada Koundinyasana 2, I'm going to bend the front knee just so you can see what's happening in my chest. Here, say you were to get far forward, and this happens. Like the elbows bend, the shoulders come towards the ground, the elbows are still up, but you collapse. Also, that tends to hurt the wrists a lot. So if you see people doing like this afterwards, that's sort of what's happened. That happens often if there's not enough strength in the pecs to hold yourself up. There's not enough strength maybe in the triceps to push into the ground. There's not enough strength and stability in around the scapula to hold the scapula down and back, and the elbows and the arms and the shoulders down low. So what can we do to protect against this and to prevent against this and to stop this from happening? Okay, one is resistance training, building strength around these muscle groups. How can we do this? Well, number one is push-ups, right? Lots of push-ups, starting with the knees bent, which is what I just showed. And the reason I showed it with the knees bent is because I know for sure that there is a ton of negative feeling associated with doing push-ups on your knees. I work in a gym and I see it all the time. People would rather do anything than do push-ups on their knees, and that's so silly. Doing push-ups on your knees with good form is much better than doing push-ups on your toes with bad form. Do push-ups on your knees. Build the strength, especially in your chest and your upper body. And develop that strength in your chest. Push the chest away. That's the same motion, that pushing of your chest away. I've got my abdomen pulled in, stability through my low back. Pushing the chest away right here with my elbows pulled in is the exact same push that I need in the arm balances to hold myself up. All right, number two, that practicing of the pulling the elbows down and the shoulders down, the back, stabilizing here. That's a motion that we really want to practice and practice. So pulling the elbows down and lifting the chest up and strengthening these muscles here, the trapezius, that sort of pulls the back, the shoulder blades together and down. Think about lifting up through the chest. It's what I call, with my kids and in my class, Captain America chest. So when you're sort of standing, it looks like this. All right, it's kind of like a puff of the chest, and I call it Captain America because I used to call it breasts first, but people don't like that so much. Captain America chest. Because I want to look like Captain America. I think that's a good look, but you kind of want to think about leading with your chest, lifting up, and being engaged. And you can feel it if you pull down your shoulders and you pull your elbows in and then touch your pecs, they're engaged. All right, and then push. So elbows in and then push. That's when your pecs are engaged. All right, and that's what you want when you're doing an arm balance. You want this motion of pushing the floor away. And you can see here in the video that my pecs are strongly engaged. And that's when you're going to be protected against collapsing into the floor. So before you go into the arm balance, you want that strong elbows down, shoulders down, push into the floor, and then rock into it. So go into it with that strong house built before you go in. All right, so those things being talked about, strong Captain America chest, do more push-ups. Second thing that I'm seeing a lot of is, I watch people try to go into these poses. Again, I'm using Eka Pada Koundinyasana 2 here as an example. I see them start to get into it, they go for it, they get about here, and then this starts to happen with the back leg. And they're stuck right here. And they're so close, But what's happening? Well, what's happening is, one, they're trying to use the strength of their core to just lift up the back leg, but that's really hard. What really needs to happen is you need to rock forward a little bit more, because for most people in a yoga class, and most female-bodied people, your center of gravity is in your pelvis. And that pelvis, that weight, your center of gravity, has to get more towards your hands. That leg, when it's strong and straight and engaged, pointed out straight behind you and not just sort of floppy, when it's pointed out straight behind you and you start to rock that center of gravity forward, the leg's gonna lift on its own because your center of gravity is moving forward, because it's physics, right? So as you lean forward, you have to rock, grip with your fingertip, Captain America chest pulls you forward, and that leg comes up. So instead of just picking the leg up, you're really pulling yourself forward by your chest and reaching with your chest, pulling forward. And the body's a big, long, connected unit, pulling you forward. And the leg's just kind of coming along for a ride, right? So those were the things I sort of wanted to talk about today. Captain America chest, super strong house that you're building to rest the arm balance on, and rocking forward far more than you think you need to get that back leg off the ground, which I do understand feels scary because your face starts to get really close to the ground. But if you've done more push-ups, then there's no fear that you're going to collapse because you've got a big, strong chest that's holding you up. All right, have a great week. Comment if you have any questions. I'd love to hear from you guys, and I will see you soon.